And hey, even if you're a startup, I mean, your workplace has a culture. Even your startup has a culture. And, what is really important when you think about strength-based practice is how can I create positive change by utilizing the context of safe, unconditional, and authentic relationships. Authenticity is so important. Authenticity is you showing up as you without the mask on. Authenticity is you showing up and being who you are. And so many times, I think what we see is people trying to be somebody that they're not. At the end of the day, there's this radar that we all kind of have where we can almost sense if somebody is being who they say they are. And I'll tell you what, when you are who you say you are, that shows emotional intelligence, and that emotional intelligence pulls people to you. Hey friends, I hope you're doing amazing today. I'm so excited that you're going to take this little journey with us as we continue to talk a little bit about this idea of the neuroscience of change. And what I want to talk about here today specifically is what's strong versus what's wrong. Now, there's no doubt that the story that we tell ourselves is almost everything when it comes to performance and productivity. It's almost everything when it comes to our sense of worth and value. In other words, when we are completely focused on all the stuff that's wrong with ourselves rather than the stuff that's strong, then that storyline actually becomes a narrative that we begin to believe, we begin to accept, we begin to embrace. And of course, what it does is it has a major impact on how we feel about ourselves and our sense of worth and our value. I think that a lot of people who struggle with self-respect aren't really struggling with self-respect. Self-respect, or the lack of self-respect, is the outcome or the byproduct of the story that we're telling ourselves. And the story that you might be telling yourself could be about all of the things that you perceive are wrong with you. And if you are fixated on the stuff that's wrong with you, then of course that's going to leave you powerless and without any strength, because whatever you focus on, you will enlarge. And so if I spend all of my time fixated on my weakness, on the deficits in my life, on the deficiencies of my professional practice, on the deficits and the difficulties in my business, well, then I'm never going to become all that I could become. And so in our community and in the work that we do with organizations, and particularly with leaders and helping them become better leaders, we spend a lot of time helping them to understand where their focus should be. And their focus should absolutely be much more on what's strong rather than what's wrong. In other words, at a very simplistic level, when I'm working with a person, another human being, or even in my marriage or with my kids, I could focus completely on what's wrong with this person. I need you to do this more. I need you to stop doing this. I need you to become this. I need you to become that. And all that's going to do is disempower the individual. It's going to cause them to shrink back. We've talked a lot about the neuroscience of safety and how safety will completely shrink for that person. And when that safety shrinks for that individual, they're not going to be able to perform their best. And so the big question is, when I focus on what's strong rather than what's wrong, I optimize their ability to succeed. I optimize their ability to thrive. I optimize their ability to flourish. But when I focus on what's wrong, all I'm doing is essentially trapping them in that place of weakness and inadequacies. And so I want to share with you what I call guiding principles of strength-based practice, okay? And you know what's so great about these guiding principles of strength-based practice is you don't have to be a psychologist to apply these principles of strength-based practice. You don't have to be a psychiatrist to apply these principles of strength-based practice. As a matter of fact, every leader should have these written on their wall as kind of their 10 commandments if you want to use that. Now, I'm not going to give you 10, but you get what I'm saying. The idea is, how can we create an environment where people are focused a lot more on what's strong rather than what's wrong? And so let me give you a few of these principles here today. The first one is this: when individuals feel valued and safe, they will be receptive to and value what we offer. And so as a leader, you're constantly offering things to people, opportunity. Maybe you're offering them new jobs, new tasks, new responsibilities, new things. But the reality is, if you're offering a change or you're offering, a new pay package or you're offering a new opportunity, they're not going to be receptive to it if they don't feel valued and safe. Now, again, imagine how many people are coming into your work or team environment today and they don't feel valued and they don't feel safe. I'm going to suggest that a lot of them don't, right? And maybe that's not even their fault. Like maybe they've just been spending too much time on social media. Maybe they've just heard too many negative messages. Maybe they were raised in toxic or difficult environments. But I actually think that as a leader, I do more for my people when I help them to feel valued and safe than anything else. New programs, new compensation, all of those things can help, but I have massive impact on the safety that I create for my team members. And so that's the first principle of strength-based practice, and that is when individuals feel valued and safe, they will be receptive to, and they'll even value what you and I have to offer. The second principle of strength-based practice is that every individual, every person has unique strength and the ability to thrive in successful ways. And so what that means in practice is that we celebrate people individually. Now, this one here is so important. I think that the back in the day, leaders excelled by creating very tight boxes that they expected everybody to operate in. And now, especially in an AI-driven economy, I mean, look at how much AI, this is 2024 right now, and look at how much AI has already changed a lot of people's workflow. Matter of fact, there's lots of stories in the media of big banks and big financial services corporations laying off tens of thousands of people because a lot of the processes and things that those individuals are doing can be done just as well and definitely cheaper by AI. And so what that tells you is that the old school way was let's just create a box and get everybody to fill in this box. And then AI comes along and takes over the box, and now you're outside the box. And so what that tells me is that the strength for you in this economy is going to be about in celebrating your unique strengths. What's the things, the creativity, the innovation, the ideas, the opportunity that you can bring to the table that AI never could? I think that's a really important idea, or at least can't right now. Who knows? Maybe in like 20 years, there'll be like even crazier AI, I'm sure there will, than there is right now. But did you know that there are certain things that AI can't do? And that's the uniqueness of your creativity and the uniqueness of your innovation and the uniqueness of the strength that you bring to the table. And so as a leader, where people are feeling right now like they might get left behind economically because of all of the AI and all the stuff that's going on, imagine if you could let people know, listen, I celebrate you as an individual. I celebrate your unique contributions, and I'm going to work with you as an individual. I'm going to tailor fit an approach to you. Now, as a leader, this will take you time, but it's probably the best investment of your time, because if you can get more invested into a person, then what you can actually do is begin to see a return on investment from that person. I think that it's irrational and it's unreasonable to expect a high level of return on investment from a person if we don't put a high level of investment into that person. And that's going to mean that you have to treat some people like individuals. That's going to mean that you're going to have to connect with them at an individual level. I hope that you do that. And as you do, it's going to make a massive difference for you in your life. The third principle of strength-based practice that I want to share with you here today is that positive change always occurs in the context of safe, unconditional, and authentic relationships, okay? Safe, unconditional, and authentic relationships. Now, in the workplace, this is tough, but it's not that tough. In other words, we are on the job. They actually tell us, the researchers, about half of our waking hours. I mean, if you think about just the average person, maybe they get 7-8 hours of sleep a night. And so that's like 8 hours. A third of their time is either sleeping or getting ready to sleep, and, probably, laying down on the bed. So you got about 16 hours left for a lot of people, maybe 17 hours, maybe 18. And most people are working 8 or 9 hours a day. A lot of people now are working even more than that. They're working 10 hours. And so think about the fact that your waking hours, about half of them are on the job. And even if you're working remotely, like even if your team is like scattered all over the place, the fact is there's a little social structure and hierarchy that you've created there. Of course, you got a pecking order. You got people who do certain things. You have certain tasks, certain abilities, certain competencies, certain backgrounds, and all of that is blended together in this thing called the workplace. And hey, even if you're a startup, I mean, your workplace has a culture. Even your startup has a culture. And, what is really important when you think about strength-based practice is, how can I create positive change by utilizing the context of safe, unconditional, and authentic relationships? Authenticity is so important. Authenticity is you showing up as you without the mask on. Authenticity is you showing up and being who you are. And so many times, I think what we see is people trying to be somebody that they're not. At the end of the day, there's this radar that we all kind of have where we can almost sense if somebody is being who they say they are. And I'll tell you what, when you are who you say you are, that shows emotional intelligence, and that emotional intelligence pulls people to you. Now, emotional intelligence is such an important concept here in 2024, because we go on social media and we see people shouting at each other, and we see people getting into fights with each other, and we see all the division, even watching our government members, accusing each other and saying nasty things about each other. But would you agree that change and transformation only comes in the context of safe, unconditional, and authentic relationships and connection and support? That's why I would encourage you to consider reaching out to us at Flourishing Workplace. Did you know that we've worked with dozens of Fortune 500 companies? We've worked with dozens and dozens and dozens of small and medium-sized enterprises, be they for-profit or nonprofit. Did you know that we've worked with dozens of First Nations, Indigenous communities right across the country? And what's the magic, the sweet sauce that has brought us into so many different environments and so many different organizations? I'll tell you what it is. It's creating a brain-friendly environment by building a flourishing workplace. And I just want to encourage you to tap into that. Hop on a call with a member of our team and see if we might be a good fit for you. We might not be, but if we are, then I can promise you it will be well worth the 20-minute call that you make, so that we can accelerate a change-based, friendly environment, a brain-based, friendly environment, an environment that often we can't construct all on our own, but an environment that is actually pretty easy to construct with support and with help. So thanks so much for tuning into this video. Please do me a favor, like this video, share it, give us a comment below. Let us know what you're thinking and help us with that YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in our next video.